Yeah, so we just met yesterday morning, so yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. See, people are kind of popping in, so just give it a little bit. Hi, for those of you who are on, if you have any questions for us tonight, feel free to start putting it into the chat or the Q&A box at the bottom. We didn't get a lot of questions in advance, so it could be short, but obviously we're here to answer all your questions. So if you've got anything on your mind, please just start putting it in on the chat and the Q&A, and we'll be sure to get to it tonight. Again, I'm just going to give folks, I still see folks attending, so I'm just going to give it like one more minute and then we'll get going. All right, why don't we get started? Thank you for joining us for our first coffee talk of 2022. I see a lot of familiar faces in our audience tonight based on your names, so you're probably really familiar with this, but just in case, I'm Moani Wright-Fennell, the president for Aikane Nuuanu, your PTO organization. Again, this is our first coffee talk of the year. We're here with Principal Ned Uemae to answer all of your questions and anything that our families want to know about. We're slated to go to 7, but we will just go until we run out of questions at this point in time. Again, if you've got any questions or anything you want to know about, pop it into that chat or the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen there. I'll be monitoring it and we'll be sure to get to your questions. But before we jump over questions, I just wanted to give you a really fast update on Aikane Nuuanu. So first of all, thank you so much to all the families who helped us last year make our Regal Food fundraiser so successful. We know it was kind of a last minute fundraiser. It was 2 weeks, but everyone hustled and sold and bought goodies for yourselves, maybe gave it away as gifts. And at the end of the day, we were able to raise $18,000 between all the goods sold plus the generous donations of family and friends. So thank you so much. That is slated to be used for air conditioning units, and with the amount that we've raised, we're able to air condition 2 more buildings. So we're getting close. We've got, I believe it's 6 more buildings to go, or classrooms and total buildings. So we're getting really close, that we're confident that we can get it done this year. So thank you everyone for all of your support. We are planning another fundraiser coming up, and more info will come out once we've got that solidified. And then also want to put it on your calendars now, save the date for Family Fun Night. We are looking to try to bring Family Fun Night back, and I say try with a big asterisk next to it. But the date that we're looking at is Friday, May 13th, big asterisk, because of course, we really want to bring Family Fun Night, how we've always done it, have our community together, have a crazy fun night together. And then Omicron happened, and we're seeing our numbers increase. And with everything that's going on, our board is reevaluating and reassessing, can we do a full-blown Family Fun Night? If not, can we do something modified so that our kids can still do something together? Because it is definitely an event that our kids miss, our families miss. It's a cornerstone activity of Nuuanu Elementary School going back years and years and years. And so we really want to bring it back in some capacity this year. So just save the date. More info will be coming as we solidify our plans as well. We're really hoping to bring something back this year. So put that in your calendars now. But with that, again, you're never here to listen to me. You're here to talk story with Mr. Uemae. So I'm going to pin his video while we talk and ask some questions. So Mr. Uemae, obviously COVID's really on everyone's mind. So let's just start there, because that's the thing that we're seeing in the news every single day. We have been getting emails from Nuuanu Elementary School of positive cases that are happening on campus. And so can you share, with the increase in case counts across our state, the impacts to the Department of Education system as a whole, with teachers having to be out, have there been any updates in overall COVID protocols at the school at this point in time?
So we met with our interim superintendent. We had a couple of principals meetings, and even Governor Ige participated in one of them as well. And we're trying our best to make sure that our kids are safe when they're in school. The focus is to making sure safety is first, and they also feel that with kids in school, it's probably a safer environment for them rather than being at home and losing out on their education. And so working with the Department of Health, the Department of Education, state office personnel, and so forth, we have that new return to school criteria. You can find it on our school website. And I know it's kind of a little bit strange when the quarantine is like now from 10 days to 5 days, but it's really specific as to what needs to be done. If you're vaccinated or if you're unvaccinated, then there's two different pathways that you would follow. So the information is on our school website. We also put on our school website the test locator sites. So in case you do need to find a place to get tested, again, you can go to our website. We have a link on there. And you can click on that and it'll show you different locations. It's connected to the Department of Health site, I believe. So that's why when they update their stuff, it automatically comes to our website on our link, and you can see that. And so yeah, I mean, it's kind of detailed regarding the return to school plan. I mean, I could go over it, but
just at a high level, what are that families need to be aware of? I mean, so we're still searching. If our kids have any of the typical symptoms, keep them home.
Correct.
But like you said, changes is now vaccinated versus unvaccinated students and what the official protocol is.
I can go over. Let me go over that. If somebody tests positive for COVID-19, I have to notify the COVID response team, the DOE COVID response team, and there's a protocol that we all need to follow as administrators at every school. And first thing we need to do is we need to identify the close contacts. So it could be 5 kids, it could be 10, it could be even adults, whatever it is. Our responsibility is to get information and to identify the close contacts. And after we identify the close contacts, talking to teachers, talking to the person that was infected, we got morning care, we got afternoon care, things, talking to parents. We have to call each individual family, or I call each individual family to let them know, and I have to ask if you're vaccinated. This is the new policy now. If you're vaccinated, the DOH and DOE is saying you do not need to quarantine at home, okay, because you are vaccinated. On the 5th day after being exposed to whoever it was, they recommend, it's not required, but recommend you to get COVID tested, just for peace of mind, to make sure that everything is okay. On day 6 and on, they ask you to wear your mask, which we're already doing at Nuuanu School, so there's no change there. But the thing is, if for some reason during those 5 days you're not quarantining, but you do feel your child has symptoms or something, it would be best to keep them home. Yeah, runny nose, headache, stuffy nose, whatever, sore throat, keep them home. If the person who comes in contact with somebody who is positive is unvaccinated, then that student will have to quarantine for 5 days. So after they quarantine for 5 days, on the fifth day, the recommendation, again, it's not required, but it's recommended that your child get tested. And hopefully, it comes out negative. And then for the days after that, they can return to school. But again, the requirement is they have to wear masks, which again, everybody at Nuuanu School is wearing a mask. So again, if your child has symptoms or you feel like, they're not, they're fatigued or things like that, it would be best to just keep them at home, just to keep everybody, not just your family safe, but everybody at school safe, because we don't want to spread, throughout the campus. But I can honestly tell you, with all these COVID cases, our students have been doing a much better job at making sure that they're wearing their masks. There's less reminders that we have to do on our campus, but don't get me wrong, we still need to send reminders out to certain students. Hey, mask up, don't forget to cover your nose. But they've been doing a much better job on campus. We've also, made sure that they are 6 feet apart when taking off their masks. Again, we can always do a better job at that as well. But when they're drinking or they're eating, we ask them to stand on a yellow nene feet, and so they can be 6 feet apart from somebody else. But the teachers are doing a good job having ventilation in the classrooms. We have air purifiers in all the classrooms. Windows are open. Some classrooms have air conditioning, so they run those air conditioners too. But windows are open, doors are open. So we're doing what we can to make sure that the environment is safe for our students. And so, yeah, those are the things that we have. If you do test positive, you will have to quarantine. Sorry, not quarantine. You have to isolate. There's a difference between quarantine and isolate. Quarantine is you stay home. You're not allowed to go out. Isolation is you're in a room by yourself, if possible. Yeah, in a room by yourself, so that you don't infect anybody else if you're positive for COVID-19.
Great. Thank you for explaining. And again, families, you can go onto the Nuuanu Elementary website to get that updated wellness check,
Right.
to make sure you know the updated protocol. I think one of the things that's definitely on parents' mind is at this point with the case count going up, is there any talks about going back to a virtual model, a hybrid model, or even potentially shutting down schools?
So that was not part of any options. I guess when we met with our principals meeting, they still prefer students coming to school. But things can change. They always tell us to have option B, plan B ready and in place in case something should change. So our teachers, we did work on something at the beginning of the year, but right now it seems as though the option A is everybody in person. We do have just a handful of people who have been distance learning or virtual learning from the beginning of the year, maybe about 4 or 5 families, but those are for very significant, they have some medically fragile, I guess, household members, and they can't afford to, get them sick or anything like that. So, we do our best to try to accommodate all our students. And so as of right now, answering your question, there was no option about going to virtual at this time as of today. But with the numbers the way they are, we're just waiting. We take direction from the superintendent and from the governor and what they decide to do.
Great, thank you. And then when kids are being sent home right now, whether they're in close contact, whether they're positive, what's the learning situation for those students? Are they able to participate in virtual learning? Are they just sent home with homework, or are they just kind of missing school?
So that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. So every teacher, their technology, their capacity, is going to be a little different. Yeah, some teachers are very good at doing simultaneous learning, virtual learning. When the class is going on in person, they have some students online, participating as well. Some teachers are much better just creating a packet for students, everything on there. Parents can come and pick that up. Some teachers have been doing maybe like between their lunch breaks and stuff, they try to get on with the kids and, real fast to go over what they have. Some teachers are doing it after school, but it really, it's on a case by case, however the teacher is comfortable doing without interrupting the rest of the instruction that's going on for the other kids in the classroom. So teachers will reach out, or even as parents, you can email the teacher, hey, is it possible for me to receive the work? And the teacher will probably let you know what's the best method for them. to get the work to your child. Some of them are using Google Classroom. Everything is online. It's much easier for some of the upper grade classrooms. So, teachers have been using Google Classroom and getting assignments in and out through that method too. So.
How can you walk us through? You talked about close contacts and then the different protocols for close contacts, whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated. How can you explain the process on how those close contacts are identified in the classroom?
Okay, so when somebody gets positive COVID result, what I do is I ask them, if you are sitting next to somebody within 3 feet for at least 15 minutes or more for a 24-hour period, can you provide me with their names that you were doing? So I would ask the person who was infected. I'd ask the teacher, what did they recognize? If they're, in the classroom, were they close to other students? And they would give me names there. I would check with A+, morning care, afternoon care, and check with them to see. I give them the same question. I ask them the same thing. If they were at specials, other classrooms, with working with other adults or support staff, I would ask them if they. So I try to get in touch with everybody that possibly came in contact with this person as a close contact. And, if it's questionable, I'm always going to err on the side of caution. And I'm probably going to call that parent or family to let them know, okay, it was questionable, but if they have their mask on, they say if both student and the other person has their mask on fully, it would be okay. But for me at this time, I rather just be err on the side of caution, and I'll call parents to let them know that, they were within 3 feet of the person for at least 15 minutes throughout the day. Or so that's how I do the close contacts.
And the 3 feet is whether, regardless of if you're an inside or an outside area.
Yeah, I just try my best. If they're within it and they said they were, I'm not going to question this. Are you sure? Was it 2.5 feet? Is it, I'm just going to take them for what they have. So, I rather err on the side of caution again. And so I really hope, I just want to encourage, families to get vaccinated. A lot of these close contacts, honestly, that I've had to do, majority have been vaccinated. Our students have been vaccinated, so that's a positive thing. And the cases that we've had hasn't been from the school, it's been from outside of school. And unfortunately, when the child comes to school, somehow they get sick a couple of days later from whatever after school program off campus that they did. And then the results always come back a little bit later, right? And, oh yeah, my child is sick and so forth. And then they test a couple of days later, and that's how the results happen. But it hasn't been from the school. It's been something from the outside coming into the school. Yeah, but can I help? It is what it is. It's all around, not just our school. There's a lot of schools, all the schools are getting impacted by this. And so we just got to make sure we do our job, mask up, wash your hands, don't touch your face, watch your distancing between people. And if you can get vaccinated, that's what the DOE, DOH is really encouraging, getting vaccinated.
We talk about 6 feet, and you're sharing about when you're drinking water bottles, they're asked to sit on the nene, stand on the nene seats to ensure that 6 feet social distancing. What about in the lunch area? Has there been any changes there to further distance the students? Because of course their mask is off the whole time they're eating.
Sure, correct. So there have been some teachers that have been taking their students back to the classroom, yeah, because their spaces in the classroom is a lot bigger, yeah, than our cafeteria. And so we are looking at possibly, we have the funding for it. I just got to put the orders in and figure out how we're going to do this. Is we have the funding. I applied for a grant to get different types of cafeteria tables, so that way eventually we can have cafeteria lunch outside of the cafeteria, or these half-size cafeteria tables. And then we also have the picnic table. So there are some teachers that have been bringing their students back to the classroom to eat outside on the picnic tables under the umbrella outdoors and so forth too. But again, we have to understand that, teachers are doing it from the kindness of their heart, because, they need a break too, right? And by contract, they're supposed to be entitled to a half an hour lunch break, a 30-minute lunch break uninterrupted. But, some of our teachers, they're just terrific, and they bring the kids back to their rooms and, try to space them out as best as possible, even eat outside on the picnic tables, so that our cafeteria isn't as crowded as, with all the kids in there. And again, we do a rotating schedule. So, every about 25 minutes, the kids rotate in, rotate out, and so forth. So it's not everybody eating at the same time, because our cafeteria, there's no way we would be able to accommodate all 6 grade levels all at one time. So what lunch period is every half an hour. Kids go in there. By the time they get done, it's about, but they have about 25 minutes to eat. And then we got to excuse them about 5 minutes early so they can go outside and so forth. So yeah, that's what we're doing, to help kind of ease. And we have air purifiers in the cafeteria as well too, to help kind of circulate the air.
Thank you. Families, again, if you've got questions, feel free to pop it into that Q&A or chat box. I am monitoring and asking those questions right now. When we talk about tests, you said on the site that there's a link to where folks can go and get a COVID test. Obviously, the state's backlogged right now, so many of the testing sites are backlogged several days before you can get an appointment, short of sitting in a drive-through for several hours. Are home tests being allowed and an acceptable form of COVID testing?
So to return back to school, we would prefer the PCR test. It's much more valid. So if your child is sick, and I want to go get them tested, you would have to get the PCR or go to Longs or one of those tests. You cannot do we wouldn't accept the home tests. At that, if you don't know if your child is positive or whatever, you have to go to the like Longs or get a PCR test. However, on the 5th day, when they say the test is strongly recommended but not required, we're looking at possibly, if you wanted to do the home test, you could do the home test. But again, we probably would encourage you to go get a PCR test just to make it more, I guess, official. But I'm not saying those home tests are not official or not valid, but we would prefer getting, going to a business or establishment or a doctor actually doing it.
Got it. Thank you. We have a question. It's not COVID related, but we have a question in our Q&A box that I'm going to attempt to answer. How do we find out who the school contest winner information? For example, who won our pumpkin carving contest last year, Family Fun Night theme contest that was just out, and the class that sold the most Regal tickets and won the pizza party? That is a fabulous question. I unfortunately don't know all those answers off the top of my head. So what I will commit to is working, because that is all Aikane o Nuuanu run. So I will work with our board offline, and in our next email blast, we'll be sure to announce all of those winners. The one answer I do know out of all the different contests that have been happening is Family Fun Night theme. Thank you, everyone. We got a lot of fabulous submissions, a lot. I think it was over 60. And we actually narrowed that down. And so the top 3 themes are now in the classrooms for our students to vote. So all the homeroom teachers have the top 3 themes. They're asking your students what theme they want. And so our students will be the ones who are actually going to pick our theme. So we are expecting to know our official Family Fun Night theme end of next week. So once we do have that, we will definitely announce that. But for the Regal Foods, we do have that information. Who won pumpkin carving last year? I know we have that information. I just unfortunately don't have it off the top of my head. So I will be sure we get that out in a future email blast.
Moani, to jump on that as well. Since I got parents on board now, if you have not been getting the emails that we send out from the school, please contact our office and update your email address, because that's one of the best ways we get information directly to our parents. Aikane has been great about sending me or sending our school information, and so we take that information and we email blast directly to parent emails. So if you have not been, mom and dad can both get it. So if one is only getting it, call the school, let us know. We may have to fill out a form so we can get it documented, but we can send you directly so both parents can get information as well. Again, Aikane sends out a lot of good information. So if you have not been getting it, and as a school, we send out everything from parent letters to things going on in the gym, roof renovations, stuff like that. If you haven't been getting this information, please, call our school and update your email address.
Thank you. And I'll run one more plug. I know Aikane o Nuuanu and Nuuanu Elementary both also have social media accounts, so you can also check us on Facebook. We don't obviously post every single thing there, but we both the school and Aikane have been updating our Facebook, and Aikane also has an Instagram page. So if you're on social media, feel free to follow us there as well for some additional information. But email is the way you're going to get the most information for sure. So be sure you are signed up and checking that email box. Okay, we got another question in related to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
When an individual is close contact, how is their vaccination status verified?
So when we contact parents, those who did take the I guess the two vaccination shots at our school, we have that on record. But for those who did not and did it, independently on their own, we don't have that record. So we're just talking about that. Gonna we're thinking about emailing our parents about just sending in the verification. Because when I call, I ask them and they tell me the dates that they had the vaccination shot. If it's 2 weeks after, 2 weeks after the second shot, they're fully vaccinated. And so for us, we're just talking about that. That's this past week about asking parents to email us their vaccination cards. But the hard thing is with the things constantly changing. After we get all the vaccination cards, they may say the kids now got to get boosters, and so now I don't know. Shoot, we're gonna have to ask parents again to email us all their booster shots. So we're trying to figure out a way that we can get this information to make things easier, because it even makes it easier for me when I have to contact parents if they're vaccinated, unvaccinated. I know which ones I prioritize. I got to try to call first. So for us, yeah, we're still thinking about that. I was talking with our health assistant Nancy about that. So we may send out an email asking parents to just email us their vaccination status, but right now it's just based on a phone call that we have, and we ask parents to just email it after I talk to them.
Thank you. It's too bad that the DOE doesn't have like an Aloha queue system when you travel and you upload your information, right? Because then it's all there and it's verified.
Sure.
Maybe the DOE point with that, but okay, I'm going to switch over to a couple of non-COVID things. But again, families, if you got questions, throw it into that Q&A and chat box. We have been able to answer everything that's been coming in so far. You talked about covered courts. We drop off our kids every morning and we see that there's some construction going on. Can you share a little bit about what's happening in the basketball court area?
So there is an upper roof and a lower roof for our covered court. The goal is to get it all done by this Friday, which is tomorrow. But as you know, we had weather delays. The last couple of weeks before it was raining really hard, so it's too dangerous for the workers to be up on the roof, and the winds were blowing, so it's not safe for them. So, based on my conversation with the contractor or the project manager, I should say, they're saying that there's possibility we could use the covered court next week, Tuesday. That would be January 18th. But tomorrow they're going to give me an official confirmation. They did finish the upper roof. They put all new roofing on that, but now they're doing the trimming around the side of the roof. That's what they're working on today, and hopefully they can finish it by tomorrow. The lower part of the roof is going to take a little bit more time. So some of the materials haven't come in yet, or they're still trying to refabricate it or refurbish, whatever they call it. So once that's done, then they'll start working on the lower roof. They're working on it now. They kind of disassembled things, broke things down and all that. But then when the parts come in or whatever, then they'll put the lower roof on. So there's a possibility the students can still play in the gym while the construction is going on the lower roof. So it doesn't impact on what we're doing inside the covered court. But again, the deadline that I'm just gonna have to wait till tomorrow till they give me a definite deadline. But the up roof does look pretty good. Yeah. So there's a possibility we can go in next week, Tuesday.
Awesome. That's exciting. And we're talking about COVID and looking at changing in person versus virtual plans. At this point, do you have any insight on whether May Day is going to happen this year? Other in-person activities, fifth grade graduation, fifth grade camp. Those are some of the in-person activities, we're aware of that's currently planned. Are they still in process or anything being changed at this point?
So we still have plans to participate in the Camp Erdman. I had a brief conversation with the teachers, but safety is one of the things that we are very concerned about. And so we're gonna sit down again. We have some information from Camp Erdman. We have DOE guidelines and policies we have to follow as well. But as of this time, we are planning to go on our Camp Erdman field trip. Again, it all depends on the numbers, and if things not allowed to have large gatherings and things like that, we may have to cancel or maybe postpone it. But right now, we still have plans to attend or go on the field trip to Camp Erdman. As for May Day, we had a May Day meeting just yesterday, and we were discussing options. And one of the big options we were talking about was, recording the May Day program. And in our conversations, we talked about maybe having it outdoors on the grassy area. But from the teachers, past experience, which I haven't seen, they said, Ned, it's a large crowd, it's really big. And so I don't know if it's going to be safe, even if we were to try to separate you know, the parents from sitting in the gym. We have the kids in the gym sitting down as well. So, you know, we talked about recording and maybe getting even a professional recorder to come in and videotape so that, you know, on that day, you know, we can show up maybe not a stream, a live stream, but recordings that we've done throughout the week for May Day. We are still going to have May Day, but it kind of looks like it's going more toward the virtual setting. It's not going to be live streaming. It kind of looks like we're going to do like pre-record tapings and kind of like put it all together. But again, these are things that we just discussed yesterday. And it kind of looks like we're going to head in that direction.
Well, keep us updated. I mean, at least bringing May Day back in some form or fashion is going to be fabulous.
Right.
That's also, you know, one of those events families we all look forward to every year.
Yeah.
So
we're going to have it. No, as of right now, we are going to have it, you know, so but it's just a matter of, I don't know if we're going to be able to allow visitors, you know, on campus to view it live.
Got it. Okay. And at this point, I mean, graduation is really far off, but have there been any talks around fifth grade graduation?
Again, I think I didn't have any conversations with the fifth grade teachers or anything right now, but I know they did talk to me about I guess a legacy project. So they're working on a legacy project. But for the graduation, I mean, we did a drive-through graduation last year. Again, our intention is to have one that is face to face. And we're gonna try our best to have it face to face or in person. But again, if the numbers are the way they are and we want to look at everybody's safety, then we may have to either do another drive-through or another way to get to celebrate, I guess, the fifth graders graduating from Nuuanu.
Got it. Thank you. We got a question into our Q&A box. The news reported an attempted kidnapping near Honolulu Hale recently, which is quite concerning with the uptick that's been in, with crime recently. So are there any plans to increase security around the school at this time?
So right now, I know there was a concern about like the kindergarten restrooms, you know, having a gate over there to protect the kids from walking into the parking lot. So we did install the gate. It finally came in. So we have a gate by the kindergarten restrooms. The front of the school, we had conversations about putting up a fence to not allow people to come onto our campus. So that I kind of iffy about that. You know, we have some wonderful people in our community who do exercise on our campus. They walk through our campus on the weekends, and you know, to me, that's kind of extra eyes. By not having some of these nice people, I think 95% of the people that I meet on the weekends who are walking and exercising have good intentions, you know. And if there's something that's on our campus that people shouldn't be there, you know, I mentioned to them, if you can just call the police, if there's homeless or whatever, just call the police. So, you know, they've been very friendly. It's just the 5% who come on our campus and, you know, steal things from our campus, from our aquaponics, and, you know, who damage some certain things that kind of ruin it for everybody else. So, I mean, we're very blessed, you know, right now, knock on wood, that, you know, we've had not really any instances of people coming on our campus and doing things that I'm aware of during the school day. But I cannot say on the weekends, like I get calls from the neighbors. They call Mr. Ron, the head custodian, who then calls me. Then I got to come on the weekend to chase people off campus or whatever it may be. So, yeah, I don't know we don't have security officers. So the teachers just, you know, do the best that they can to monitor our surroundings. But, you know, we did install new phone systems, speaker systems, and so forth. And we've been running our drills, you know, every month, like our fire drills, and we also did our safety drills. And so, you know, if something should happen, our speaker systems will announce it to every single classroom, whether it's a lockdown, shelter in place, speakers all over the campus. Some of you guys may be hearing it every morning when we have announcements to kids to excuse them to go to class. Some of you who live in the area, you guys may hear it. But yeah, so we have speakers all over our campus. Every classroom, in the classroom, there are phone systems in there as well. So they'll hear whatever announcements, and lockdown, you know, teachers can lock their doors and then just hang tight until police arrive.
Thank you for sharing. Again, families, if you've got questions, throw it into that Q&A box or chat box. We are out of questions officially, but I'm going to ask a couple more before we wrap up if we get nothing in. Any other
I have some updates I want to share with you. Sorry, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Can I share some things?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. So We conducted a parent teacher survey for our parents, and Tuesday was the last day to I guess complete the survey. We had about 120 parents that did send in their responses. So the plan for next school year, we asked if they prefer having parent teacher conferences as is, the 10 days, and we end school about an hour half or an hour earlier over the 10 days versus having it on 2 full days where students don't come to school at all and the teachers can use the entire 2 days to have their parent teacher conferences. And so based on the survey results, 63% of our parents, okay, 63% of our parents preferred the 10 days of parent teacher conferences with school ending about an hour, hour and a half early, maybe on a Wednesday. And only 37% wanted the 2 days, full days of their students or their child not being in school. About 77% preferred virtual parent-teacher conferences, and 23% preferred in-person. A couple of days ago, I sent out an email because the DOE asked us for schools to send out a summer program survey. They wanted to see what parents feel, what kind of programs they wanted for their child, credit recovery, advancement, summer learning hub, things like that. So it was sent out a couple of days ago. So hopefully, you can fill that out. It doesn't come to me right away. It goes to the district and state offices so they can kind of see. And then they send us the results for Nuuanu school. So look, if you didn't get it, try look back in your emails because you should have gotten that directed to your email account. And then another survey that's coming out is what the annual survey that they do for our school at Nuuanu. It's called the School Quality Survey. It's called SQS. So this week was supposed to be the first week that we can start. And I'm going to send it out to the parents. Probably next week we'll start sending it out, but we have until the middle of March to complete it. And it's just your input on safety of the school, well-beings of the school, things that it's just questions that we've been asking, I guess, every year. It's the same question. So look for that email. Please complete it. It gives us a lot of feedback, gives me a lot of feedback on things that we can always improve on, things that are going well. And that's your chance. Again, I think you might even be able to send comments and so forth too. So again, that's the SQS, the School Quality Survey. That will be probably coming out next week. And then this past week, we had a summer program survey. And last week was a parent-teacher survey. So I didn't want to bombard you with all these surveys at one time. So I try to kind of space it out. A couple other announcements. Bike Ed, we had Bike Ed come back for our 5th graders this year. Last year, they were unfortunate, the 4th graders at the time, because of COVID, they didn't get a chance to do Bike Ed. But today, this whole week, the kids in 5th grade had Bike Ed. So they had a blast. Just seeing them out there. A lot of them brought their own bikes from home. So they were super happy with that. And they could ride with their peers on campus. I think tomorrow they will be going into the community. Those who are advanced and can handle maneuvering through obstacles and things like that will be going on slightly in our community area to go to biking. So that's the 5th graders, yeah. And then Moani talked about the ACs, right? So and I appreciate all the parents with their donations, their hard work in selling things and so forth, so that we can get ACs for our children. I was approached by some DOE personnel, and they had some extra funding for AC units, and we have to apply for it. They're asking all the schools if we needed AC units, how many did you need, and so forth. How's your electrical upgrade and so forth. So they did approach me in the end of December, saying if we wanted AC units. I said, yeah, our PTO is working hard at raising monies. Our parents are trying to raise money so we can have air condition the rest of our AC units. But if the DOE has extra funding and they pick Nuuanu school, sure, definitely. If you can install it, then we can use the PTO money for other items for our children in the classroom, for teacher supplies and so forth. So, I mentioned this to Moani. It just came up recently. So I just mentioned it to Moani. And so I told her if you can just hang tight. The DOE should be getting back with me. I did follow up with them the last 2 weeks, but I haven't gotten a response yet. But if they are able to sponsor it, that's awesome. Then we can use the funds that, we got from the WeGo fundraiser for maybe other things to help improve our school. And sorry, I'm talking a lot. And then next week, Monday, is a holiday, if you didn't know. It's Martin Luther King.
Don't worry.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
so
sorry.
Martin Luther King is, oh, sorry, go ahead, what?
I was going to tag on to that don't worry, families, if DOE is able to put in the air conditioning, your money is not going to go to waste. We've got a long laundry list of
Sure.
improvements for the school. thoughts for the future, playgrounds, on additional buildings, I know on a wish list. I mean, so your money will be put to good use, and we'll definitely be keeping you apprised of that situation.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
Go ahead,
no,
Mr.
no.
Uemae, keep updating.
Yeah, and then next week, Monday is a holiday. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so no school. And the following Friday, January 28th, is a professional development day for our teachers. So again, there's no school for children on that day. So other than that, we do have things in the makings coming down. We're trying to get a new playground in for the school. I work with some of our teachers. It's probably going to be for our second and third graders because right now they don't really have a playground. So we're going to try to work at getting them a playground installed, hopefully during the summer, so that when they come to school next school year in August, the playground will be up and running. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, AC units, hopefully we can get those as well at our school. And then the water fountains should be arriving. It took about maybe 15 weeks. So I did call them to follow up. Hopefully by the beginning of February, we'll have all those, I guess, those water systems that you don't have to push the button. It's automatic fillers. So hopefully every building will get one of those. So I'm looking forward to all these things. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get these things installed. So we ask for your patience. And again, thank you for all your support that you do for Aikane, for our school, and even for your children.
Thank you. Thank you for all those wonderful updates. We did get one more question in while you were sharing some updates, so let me be sure to get to that question. You talked a little bit about, talking to the community about looking for, if there's homeless or people who are hanging out. And I guess there's been some times where folks are hanging out around a couple of buildings. So is someone checking those areas every now and again for any kind of, activities, suspicious activities that should be reported?
So are you asking if, like, on off hours, if off hours is we don't have security on our campus, but our custodians kind of wrap up around 5:30. So they do kind of do a sweeper and check around our campus before they leave. But again, what happens at like 9 o'clock at night and so forth, we don't have security checking the premises. We did have a neighbor who's on the neighborhood watch. We have some who are in an area who was doing a neighborhood watch for us, but unfortunately passed away. And so we do have some nice neighbors in the area who do try to monitor, and they call Mr. Hanzawa, our head custodian, and Mr. Hanzawa texts me or calls me. And there are occasions where I had to come on the weekend to, ask people to leave, skateboarders and so forth. Mr. Hanzawa is a very nice gentleman. He comes to work around maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4:30. And so sometimes he does like a quick check around our campus. And there have been instances where we had a visitor who was, camping out from the weekend. And so Mr. Hanzawa, graciously asked him to leave. And if he chooses not to, then we had called HPD. This is way before the kids even get on campus, because Mr. Hanzawa comes around like 5 o'clock in the morning. So he's looking at safety things, we have that. And teachers come in the morning too. And so if they recognize or they see anything, we've instructed them, don't approach people, just contact the police if they have any issues.
Thank you. And families, if the person who typed that question, if I didn't ask it properly, feel free to dump something back in there, but hopefully that answered your question. Okay, families, if you have got any last minute burning questions, throw it in now. If not, I'm gonna kind of start to wrap it up. So as I'm doing my last minute wrap ups, again, if you got questions, throw it in, we'll ask it, but if not, we will let folks have, some time back to your night. So again, thank you for joining us for our first coffee talk of the year. These are planned monthly. So they are always the first. Sorry.
February 10th. February 10th is the next one. Yeah, morning, February 10th.
Coffee talk. So please put that in your calendar now. Thank you, Mr. Uemae. We also have our Aikane Nuuanu board meeting, which is going to be next week, Thursday evening from 5:30. So if those are open to all families, friends, community members. So if you want to pop in there and hear what the board's talking about, share your input, feel free to join us. That information will be posted on our Aikane Nuuanu website, so feel free to check it out there. Again, as Mr. Uemae said, be sure to bookmark both of our websites, make sure your emails are in, and follow us on social media to get the latest and greatest news and information about what's going on at Nuuanu Elementary and Aikane Nuuanu. I don't see any other questions coming in, so thank you, families, for joining us tonight. Oh, Mr. Uemae has one more thing.
Sorry, I got one more thing. So our counselor has been working hard. in preparing what we call a kindness week, which but probably so I think she said it was January 31st. And so we will be trying to raise some monies for the food drive, Hawaii Food Bag, if I'm not mistaken. And similar to what we did during Thanksgiving when we did the 25-cent messages, we're probably going to be doing the same thing, but the monies that we collect, we're going to be donating it to, I think, the food bank. And so during that week, we have things, I think, like Wear Red, even going to have a canned food drive. So if you have, canned foods that you want to donate, I think we're going to be collecting that on probably February 4th, but don't quote me on it. They didn't come out yet. There's going to be a flyer that does come out. But there is going to be some activities going on from, I think it was January 31st to May 4th. And again, wearing red, might have a day where, people can write messages for 25 cents to someone for kindness. And then on Friday, I think we're doing a food drive pickup. So if you want to deliver or drop off your canned goods to us in the morning, and then the food bank will come and pick it up. So again, look out for a flyer for that. We'll send that out probably in the next week or so.
Great, thank you for sharing. And Aikane also has some information that'll be coming out soon too. So families, again, make sure you got those emails signed up, and we'll be sending flyers where we can. So again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Bookmark board meeting next week. Next, these coffee talks February 10th. Feel free to email me questions between now and then. I'll compile it so that we can get all of your questions answered next month. Appreciate everyone joining us tonight. Happy New Year. Welcome back to school, and take care and stay safe, families and friends. And thank you again, always, Mr. Uemae, for joining us and answering everyone's questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Uemae.
Thank you, Moani, for your time. Thank you so much.
Always. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Thank
All
you.
Right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.